Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really glad and happy to be able to share with you some thoughts and some teachings from Tantra, specifically from the sexual teachings of Tantra, which is by far the most known aspect of Tantra. However, there are also a lot of, let's say, it is the most known aspect of Tantra, but it is known just so superficially. And I'm very glad to be able to bring up certain important aspects from the Tantric sexuality today, which sheds light into this very profound and ancient teaching and tradition, and also gives light on what it can offer for you and why you, a man or a woman from anywhere in the world where you are at the moment, why you should care about this, why you should be interested in this, and why you should perhaps consider actually learning and practicing tantric sexuality in your life. So the points that I want to say in the introduction part, one of the things is that all of you are here because you are already curious about tantric sexuality, about this topic, about sex in general perhaps. And some of you are students of the school, some of you are simply have joined this group to get more teachings and more insights into authentic Tantra. And but all of you, as I said, have this curiosity about sexuality and finding out something more about it. So you came to the right place, first of all. So tantric sexuality is a very deep and profound teaching which is belonging to Tantra, to the tantric umbrella. And it is a teaching that is very transformative. It is literally able to change just so many things about your life, and not just talking about sexual practice itself and intimacy and lovemaking, but it touches on so many more facets. It is huge. It is very huge and extremely important and valuable, my goodness. Very valuable. The curiosity that we see out there towards tantric sexuality in modern day, and which has caused a lot of its current, let's say, popularity as well, however, is often coming from a relatively superficial point of view, that namely that a person who is studying Tantra or is looking into Tantra is doing it often from the perspective of, oh, I just want to spice up my sex life or my relationship, or wanting to have some new ideas what to do in the bedroom or something of that sort. And although this motivation is good, nothing wrong with such a motivation, it is approaching the topic from a very rather, let's say, there's no other word than superficial to use here. So it is approaching the topic from a rather superficial point of view. However, I can tell you that even in my past, the way I found my whole way to Tantra, to spirituality, to the yoga, to the meditations, and all of these teachings that I am now practicing and part of, and that I have now received from Somananda, from Dharmananda, and Somananda's teacher, and so on. My initial motivation was very similar to the one of most of you out there, perhaps, or most of those people out there, which was sexually related. My first course on Tantra was about tantric sexuality. It was not about tantric meditation, it was not Tantra yoga, it was none of those other aspects. It was about tantric sexuality. And it was a door opener for me, as well as it has been a door opener for so many other people out there. The thing is, however, that my goal today is not only to open this first door to you about tantric sexuality, but my hope is that by opening this first door, you will see all the other doors which are behind the first door as well, and that you would feel inspired and encouraged and supported, and that you would feel inquisitive and curious to go and explore all those other doors as well, because there is so many gems that Tantra can offer you, and including Tantric sexuality as well. Just even practicing Tantric sexuality thoroughly, profoundly, deeply is already such a huge transformative tool. So, indeed, in modern day, Tantric sexuality is often looked upon as something to just use as a tool to spice up your intimacy life, your relationship, and so on. But in fact, Tantric sexuality is a profound practice in Tantra, and a profound practice where one very, very crucial principle is held at a very high platform or in a very high pedestal, and that aspect is energy. So tantric sexuality is a lovemaking, is a sexual practice which is cultivating energy, which is making you aware of the energy and teaches you how to harness it, how to control it, and how to use it for the purposes that you are interested in. One of those purposes can be simply amplification of pleasure. And yes, there is tremendous levels and deep states of pleasure that the man and the woman can achieve in Tantra, but this is just the starting phase, I can tell you. So let's look a little bit into what sexuality is to begin with, right? And let's look at it in the beginning from a perspective of non-tantric approach, like so-called everyday sexuality or the regular life sexuality. Now, we know that occasionally a man and a woman, or not a man and a woman, whichever other combinations of genders getting together, that's not important right now, but occasionally we are feeling a sexual drive, occasionally we are feeling aroused, or we are feeling horny, so to speak, and we want to engage sexually, and hopefully we have a partner or somebody to do it with. And then the act itself, we normally are feeling, feeling good, feeling close, feeling intimacy, sometimes having orgasms, sometimes not. When I talk about the women, men are more lucky in that direction and tend to be receiving or experiencing pleasure from lovemaking much more often than women. And then at the end of this session, you feel relaxed, you feel like you've released stress, maybe you've released some pressure, you feel like, oh, that was nice and connected, maybe you take a nap, maybe you just chill, watch a movie, and that's it. And then next time, the next day, or in a few days, or in a few weeks, whenever it is, you may feel in a similar way, and then you repeat the same steps. Whether the lovemaking process itself, whether you are, how you are doing it, where you are doing it, if you are more adventurous than others and so on, this is all actually more external factors and often are not so much actually playing a role in the outcome. I mean the energetic outcome, the deeper layer outcome of the regular sexuality. It still ends in the loss of energy for most people, especially for men. So the regular sexual conduct of the modern day is extremely pushing men and women in the direction of losing the energy, which is the opposite of what tantric sexuality teaches us, or has been teaching thousands of years ago. So this is I cannot emphasize enough how much of a difference this aspect is making in the whole lovemaking experience. Regular sexuality with loss of energy, or at least not cultivating the energy properly, and then the tantric way of lovemaking where energy is cultivated and energy is harnessed and used and properly like grabbing the bull by the horns, so to speak. So sometimes people have the idea that when we talk about tantric sexuality, then that means, you know, Kama Sutra, or this means some very crazy contortionist types of positions where you cultivate tantric sexuality, or that means some other kind of long hours of sexuality, of sexual practice, and so on. And these are all superficial approaches, actually. The love making in regular sex and in tantric sex physically is looking pretty much the same. There isn't much difference there. It's your personal preference, like if you are into more of this kind, of that kind, more slow, more fast, whichever. But on a physical level, things are looking very much similar. However, the difference, and the profound difference, is coming at the energetic level, and this makes it very, very different between the regular sexuality and the tantric sexuality. So in Tantra, it is known that sexual energy is something very powerful, very potent, and it's we call it even kind of like the nuclear energy in your system, and we know how powerful that is. You know, nuclear power stations are much more powerful than a little windmill somewhere on the field, right? So the energy makes the difference, and this concept is extremely important. Tantric sexuality is a play between the couple, between the yin and the yang energy. It's a kind of like a dance of energy, we can say. It's where two polarities are coming together, one of them representing more of the yin, the other one representing more of the yang. And yes, often we can say that it is especially manifesting stronger, the yin and yang polarity, between man and woman. But it does not mean that gay couples cannot cultivate tantric sexuality and cannot cultivate the energy. They can, lesbian couples in the similar way. But there is always, even if it is the same gender relationship, there is always a need for the yin and yang polarity to exist between the partners and the couples. So essentially, what is happening is that a couple comes together. Let's say, like, for the sake of just making the lecture more easy, we say man and a woman, but if any of you are practicing any kind of other sexual encounters and sexuality, that is not an issue in any way. But just, I'm saying man and a woman instead of repeating every single combination which is out there, all right? So the man and the woman are coming together. The woman is coming, by definition, the structure, energetic structure of the woman is manifesting more of the yin energy or the Shakti energy. And the male structure, or the man's body and the man's energy structure, is manifesting the yang energy and the Shiva consciousness, the Shiva energy, the masculine energy. And the profound thing is happening when these two polarities are especially strong, and when they come together in the act of lovemaking, the energies start uniting in a very, very magical way. And this unitedness is happening only if the sexual energy is contained, is managed, and there's like a container which is holding the energy inside, and it is not lost. Because for a certain energy buildup, which is making a man or a woman experience what we call an orgasm, for this buildup to happen, certain time is needed, certain pressure is needed, certain quantity of energy is needed. In regular sexuality, however, there can still be a strong polarity, like a strong pull between the man and the woman, and they are very, aroused by each other, just looking at each other from afar, and already you feel a buzz inside you. You come together, you start making love, and so on. But since energy is not cultivated in the regular sexuality, then a very different outcome is happening. You can still be maybe having pleasure, maybe even having orgasms, although that is also often very questionable. But there is never a container happening where the sexual energy can really build up pressure, can build up intensity, can build up this fuel. And that fuel, that power, that pressure is what is creating the very, very profound effects that the tantric sexuality is promising and is talking about. And here we are talking about orgasms which have a tantric nature. So in regular sexuality, men, women can experience orgasms, right? However, a tantric form of orgasm, again, is very much different and feels very much different. And moreover, the results of it are very, very much different. Again, we are talking about the cultivation of energy. So in regular sexuality, when you reach a peak, when you have an orgasmic experience, then afterwards a decline of energy is happening because of the simple reason, and it's like mechanics. There was no container built in the first place. Some energy was cultivated, reaching a peak, and then it just disappears into the universe. Like it gets assimilated in the environment. It is out of you. It goes outside of the man, it goes outside of the woman. And that, from a tantric perspective, is considered a very, very big loss and very, very, very unfortunate, because you just threw away something extremely precious, something that you could have used for much deeper and profounder experiences. So in tantric orgasm, when the energy is cultivated, it is made bigger, made stronger, made more powerful, and there is no leakage happening. There is no energy which is escaping. There is no loss of sexual energy, which is the condition number one necessary for the build-up to even take place. And as that build-up is continuing and continuing, then as a tantric practitioner, you can decide what you do with that energy. You will become in charge of that energy versus you just losing the energy. Something is building up here. This is the regular sexuality side, right? This is the tantric side. So here on the regular sexuality side, some buildup is happening and boo, it's lost. It was pleasurable, it was nice, but very, very short experience, and the fuel didn't push you very far. Like the rocket was not flying very far. And that's it. Whereas when the energy is cultivated and it can build up, this rocket which can launch is going really, really far. This makes a whole universe of a difference between the regular and tantric form of sexuality. Because what is happening, let me tell you, what is happening if once you are able to cultivate that rocket and the fuel is very, very powerful and the energy is contained and the rocket is flying high, so to speak, then several things start happening. First of all, the orgasm, the orgasmic state that we are able to experience as human beings is a very, very unique state. It is not only a state of pleasure where a lot of hormones and different substances are happening or are produced in the brain, and this gives you such feeling of pleasure and satisfaction. No, it is much, much more than that. In fact, during the orgasm experience, especially a tantric orgasm experience, the brain becomes a whole chemical factory because of the energy, not because of anything else. And that experience or that phenomena can bring a person to altered states of consciousness. So when you are able to contain the energy and reach an orgasm from tantric orgasm where energy is cultivated, first of all, you are able to move that energy to different parts of your body. You are able to experience deeper states of pleasure, which actually means that there is much more of various hormones produced in the brain, which are very, very, very healing, physically healing, emotionally healing, and mentally healing for your whole system, for your whole structure. And ultimately, if you are able to bring the sexual energy the orgasm energy, sexual energy, all the way to the higher chakras, you can experience an opening at the level of those chakras. And that makes sexual practice in Tantra into a spiritual practice. This is where the bridge is happening between sexuality and spirituality. In fact, from a Tantric perspective, there is no separation between them. Tantra, we have talked a lot about that in our courses, in our teachings, that Tantra is a spiritual science. It is not just made some sophisticated form of lovemaking and that's it. Sophistication means, in this sense, that it is bringing a person to spiritual results, to having true transformation, to having great deep states of pleasure, realizations, clarities of the mind, healing of the physical body, and so on. It is very, very, very potent. A man or a woman who is cultivating tantric sexuality is able to reach deep states of satisfaction, which are like santosha from the yamas and niyamas of Patanjali, which means like contentment, but contentment not with like, yeah, it was nice, but contentment where you are just blown away. You, after that experience, you just lie in the bed and you cannot say a word because it feels so profoundly touching deeper parts of your being and your essence. A couple who is practicing tantric sexuality and through the practice then reaches those states, this couple is having something very profound and some very, very, very precious gems. Let's look into the various benefits of tantric sexuality. Let's look into health, first of all, physical health. Now, when the energy in our being, the sexual energy, is cultivated and is not lost, then what tantrics found is that it is one of the most healing and healing forms of energies. When a person is able to have deep states of orgasms, then a certain restructuring happens energetically in your body, which means that where in the parts where there was no energy, more energy is flushing there. In the parts where there was a lot of energy, that energy was circulated to the other parts, was sublimed, as we call it in Tantra, like taken from the lower chakras where everybody in modern day tends to have much more energy, and brought to the higher chakras where there is usually much less energy. And by doing this certain circulation of energy in our body, it results with healing. It results with having diseases recovered or getting recovery for your different illnesses and diseases. Because in Tantra and Yoga, it is very, very clearly known that sexual, any kind of energy actually, is behind or makes the physical body. So if you have a physical body where you are constantly sick, or you catch every cold every spring and autumn and winter, or you catch corona 10 times over, or you are a person who tends to be sick often, maybe even with something much more severe than just a common flu, then it speaks of the fact that energetically something is off in your structure. And then cultivating tantric sexuality actually circulates energy in your system in such a way that it brings healing. So the physical body is dependent on the energy body, not the other way around. So when we have an issue on the physical level, it is an issue because there is an issue on the energetic level already, many days ago or many weeks ago or even many years ago. And then eventually it manifests onto the physical level as well, into the physical body. So practicing tantric sexuality brings a lot of health and healing and rejuvenation. If a person who is experiencing tantric lovemaking, and I can even vouch for it from my personal experience, that you look at your face in the mirror before and after the lovemaking, and there is a major change. Let's say you've spent a whole day working hard, maybe on the behind the computer doing work and whatever things, and you've had stress and you were busy and so on, and then you come home and you make love in a tantric way, and then you look at yourself in the mirror before and after. Your face is uplifted, you are more rejuvenated, you feel like you are like a stress was removed from your whole structure, or even to the level of the eyes being more sparkly, more clear, skin clearing up, the color of the skin getting more healthy, and all such things. These are just immediate effects. You can see them very, very obviously. And this is speaking of the fact that there is a lot of healing and rejuvenation happening as a result of tantric lovemaking, because it is an energy cultivation, nothing else. It's an energy cultivation, and this makes a big, big difference. There are even stories, and true stories, where people have recovered from severe diseases, even such as cancer, simply by cultivating tantric sexuality. Because tantric sexuality, it is like yoga. It's like yoga and sex put together. In yoga, guys, you've been doing our live yoga seminars here. I hope at least that you have with me or other teachers of ours, and we are constantly telling you about focus on the energy like this and like that, and focus on the chakra like this and like that. Well, tantric lovemaking is like yoga in sex. So it's much more fun in many ways. You can do it with a partner, with a lover, with a dear one, with a loved one, and you are doing the same thing that you would be doing on the yoga mat, cultivating energy, controlling the energy, using it for the purposes that you desire. So those health benefits that you can receive on the yoga mat when you are practicing authentic form of yoga, energy-focused yoga, those effects multiply by tenfold at least if you are able to do the same thing in lovemaking. Because why tenfold more? Simply because the sexual energy is just so much more powerful. It is very, very potent, and it's very, very crucial. And if you are able to do what we can call sexual yoga, you will be just automatically much more healthy, much more elevated, much more rejuvenated, and even just looking damn beautiful much longer than anyone else out there. So this is one aspect: health, physicality, rejuvenation, and so on. Let's move on to the next layer. This is something to do with relationships specifically. A man and a woman who are cultivating sexual tantra and doing sexual practices and harnessing the energy and learning on the path and then reaching there through their practice, something else very, very deep is happening between the two. Namely, before you can put this sexual tantra into practice in actual lovemaking, as a man and as a woman, you need to do certain practices on your own. You first need to learn how to cultivate your own energy, how to feel your own energy, and then putting it into the lovemaking practice. Just a footnote here, it does not mean that when you start studying tantric sexuality, then for 6 months the man and the woman are just in separate rooms and never meeting and not doing anything intimate together and just cultivating their own energy and then finally coming together. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is that next to you cultivating it together from time to time or whenever you choose, you are also working on yourself. You have to. You need to learn the skill, right? Anyhow, during this process, when you are doing these various techniques that we teach in tantric sexuality for harnessing the energy, for feeling the energy, for controlling the energy, and so forth, something profound is happening. The woman is becoming more and more feminine, and the Shakti element, the Shakti polarity becomes stronger and stronger. And at the same time, the man is cultivating more of the masculine energy. The Shiva aspect becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And what do you think happens between the two? If there is a woman who is manifesting more and more of the Shakti energy, more and more becomes feminine in every meaning of the word. I don't mean feminine as in, oh, putting lipstick and doing nice hair. That can happen as well, but this is a side effect. I'm talking about the internal femininity being much more stronger, becoming much more profound, and by becoming like a goddess. That's what tantric women actually are. And the same thing, but in the opposite, is happening to the man. The man becoming more of the Shiva, more powerful, more determined, more manifesting masculine aspects. This builds a very, very powerful attraction between the two. And this attraction is based on polarity. This is why in Tantra we have specific secret teachings to women, how to build up femininity, how to really manifest the Shakti goddess aspect. What does it mean, how to do it on different levels of chakras and so on, and of the mind and emotions. And then there are secret teachings for men, how to cultivate masculinity in that sense as well, in a tantric form. And when these two polarities are very strong, they are having a very, very strong attraction towards one another. We even say that in tantric men and women have between them, like it's kind of like imagine a rubber string, a rubber tape or something. And in regular life, in a regular couple, non-tantric or anything, the string or this belt, rubber belt, is stretched out like up to here. And then at the moment of when you feel aroused and you come together in lovemaking, the rubber belt, like how strongly does it pull you towards each other? So the belt is stretched up to here, and then when you release it, it comes together maybe like that. But in Tantra, when the Shiva and Shakti energies and the feminine and masculine energies are cultivated strongly, and the polarity increases, the attraction between the two becomes extremely powerful, then this rubber band is stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched, and it continues stretching all the way 10 more meters. And then at that moment, when you start boiling for each other, you start coming closer to making love, and then the rubber band is pulling, then bang, that energy, that power is so much more stronger. So the polarity is substantially increased in the relationship, which means what? It means that relationship has much higher chances of being a long relationship, being a satisfactory, not just satisfactory, being a freaking awesome relationship where both partners are supporting each other, are on a spiritual path together, are on a tantric path together, and you have such appreciation towards each other, you have such a respect towards each other, you have such love that you can cultivate as a tantric couple as a result of this polarity and the pull between you. And not to mention those times when you make love and the energy between the two of you is so strong and the attraction is so powerful, then obviously the results in that kind of a lovemaking are going much, much further than anything with a rubber band of this. So through tantric sexuality, through learning this and cultivating the energy, you can build a true, powerful, rock solid, absolutely amazing, loving relationship which can sustain almost anything in life. Now, a footnote here, again, it doesn't mean at all that tantric relationships don't have challenges. Obviously, there are challenges, but you are so much more equipped to manage them, and you have so much more fun in the process of that. So, another incredible side effect of cultivating tantric sex. a very sophisticated form of lovemaking. Additionally, so after we talked about health, we talked about polarity and relationship happiness. What else is tantric sexuality giving you? Well, obviously, pleasure, sexual pleasure. When you are able to control sexual energy and not lose it, man or a woman, and there are different ways how energy is lost for men and for women, and also different ways how to then prevent it from happening. And when the energy is not lost, there is so much more of it to go around with, right? To use for pleasure, to use for enhancing the orgasmic potential. And in Tantra, the orgasm is analyzed and looked upon from a very specific point of view. It is actually considered a very special state of consciousness, what is happening. We'll talk more about that in detail in the spiritual Tantra sexuality teachings. But for now, for today, just knowing that there is much more to an orgasm than what you may be able to feel physically. And again, a footnote here, I am very aware that many women out there have never experienced an orgasm. Around 20%, never. Out of the other 80% who have experienced an orgasm, still a pretty large portion of those women are not able to experience it in intercourse, in actual lovemaking, in actual penetration. They are able to do it to themselves or through other ways of self-pleasuring and so on. So there is a lot of issues with orgasms out there as well. But through Tantra, a woman can learn how to cultivate an orgasm, how to surrender into the state of an orgasm, and you learn what an orgasm is to begin with. Right? It is not just, oh, nice pleasure and then the end. So when sexual energy is cultivated strongly, the potential for pleasure becomes much, much deeper and much more profound. And you will learn how to surf the wave of pleasure or the wave of orgasm. And that in itself, as I said earlier, is such a powerful experience, which just makes you walk 10 centimeters above the floor for the rest of your day, or maybe for the rest of your week, depending on your experience. And it's very, very elevating. And these deep states of pleasure are not just necessary for us because they feel good at the time when you experience it. No. Sexual pleasure is making a difference in your mind, in your psyche, in your emotions. It essentially leads to, as I said earlier, also to sublimation of energy, which means energy moving to the higher levels, which is making you way more elevated in your spirit, in your mood, in your way of thinking. You may literally have new ideas which are related to your work, your business, your, situations in life, only because you had a tantric orgasm the day before or this morning, whichever. And you don't even, you might not even be able to make the connection that, oh, this great idea of how to resolve this issue in my life right now came because I had energy flowing through my system in a proper way. It was circulating in a proper way. I was able to relax in lovemaking and not have any pressures of time or this or that and so on. And it unlocked certain blockages in my body. It removed certain blockages in your structure. And this is very much what is happening in tantric lovemaking. It just touches upon every single aspect of your being. And then you are there, you are sitting in a business meeting with your colleagues and boom, you have a bright idea how to take care of this or that, or you have inspiration how to start your own business, which you wanted to do already years ago, but you never managed to kind of get there, or you have an idea of artistic creativity or something, and it is rooted all in the sexual energy and in the right cultivation of it. So pleasure increase is very, very important, and it has a lot of shoot-offs into all the different aspects of your life. And the final point I would like to make today is, of course, the one which I personally consider most important, and not just personally. This is why the whole tantric sexuality as a system was created thousands of years ago. And here we are talking about the spiritual evolution of the couple, or the individuals in the couple. So, tantric sexuality is coming with, or brings with it, a very massive spiritual potential. And spiritual potential means mainly, like, if I need to clarify spiritual potential or spiritual growth or spiritual evolution in just one sentence, then it means being able to open the higher chakras, or being able to access the consciousness of the higher chakras. That's it. End of story. That's what spiritual evolution means. It doesn't mean, singing and being very in a kind of a haze and in a trance state. It doesn't mean, looking deep into each other's eyes and finding this or that over there. It can mean those, but it doesn't mean automatically such things. It doesn't mean, any other whatever superficial types of things. Spiritual evolution means that you are able to go with your mind into the consciousness of the higher chakras at will, not just randomly, not just when you take some recreational drugs or when you have ayahuasca and so on, but you are able to go there at will through your practices, through the cultivation of energy, through the meditation techniques that you have harnessed properly, or yoga techniques and so on, or through tantric lovemaking. I told you just earlier that tantric lovemaking is like yoga in the bedroom, right? Well, yoga on the yoga mat is meant for spiritual evolution, and guess what? Yoga in the bedroom has definitely the same potential there. So, through the cultivation of sexual energy and harnessing the power of a tantric orgasm, and through the power of sublimation and concentration of the mind, which are all aspects of this tantric sexuality cocktail, and which are all the topics that you would learn when you properly start going into tantric sexuality, well, using all those tools ultimately will lead you to spiritual evolution, will lead you to opening your heart in such a way that you never experienced love before. You are making love, or if you were not making love anymore, you are looking into the eyes of your partner and you literally melt in the energy of such deep states of love and selflessness, which no romantic novel can ever reach to describe. This is that's it. There's nothing to say about it. You'll have to experience this. And from there on, you can bring your consciousness to your third eye and see such profound experience, have such profound experiences which are very, very difficult to put into words. Or bringing the energy all the way to the crown chakra, because you've cultivated it, because you not only have your own energy available to you, but because it is a lovemaking, because you are connected with your partner, you have the energy of the both of you available to the both of you. And guess what? There is a certain synergy effect happening in tantric lovemaking, that it's not 1 + 1 = 2. No. 1 + 1 = 10 at that moment. So all of a sudden you have so many more units of energy available to you to shoot you to God. And that is ultimately the goal and the aim in tantric sexuality. So once you go tantra, you never go back. This is definitely a definite confirmation that I can say, and not just from my own experience and having been blessed to have found Tantra and ending up in a workshop that Somananda was giving 11 years ago in Estonia of Tantric sexuality, and this opening a door for myself through which I courageously stepped through, and just I was amazed what else is possible, what else is available, and what else can be cultivated. Tantric sexuality is something so beautiful, and it's not even that difficult to start with. Of course, it takes time to become a master, it takes time to harness the sexual energy. You need to know the right tools, the right techniques, the right mindset, and so on. And you need to have the right tips and suggestions and all of those things. But once you have them, the journey itself is already so exciting. It is so pleasurable. It is so filled with mysticism and magical experiences that it will keep your motivation going for a very, very long time. And it is even said that women, for example, are considered natural-born tantrics, because women's energetic structure and physical structure is made in such a way that they are able to have tantric experiences rather quickly if they are able to make love with a man who can contain his energy in a proper way as well. For men, it is said that reaching first proper tangible results in tantric sexuality takes about 3 to 6 months of practice. And if you are a kind of a man who now is like, oh wow, 3 or 6 months, my God, I thought I just pop a pill and I'm there tomorrow, right? Well, guess what? When you start digging for gold, usually you don't just find it right on the top of the surface of the mountain. You need to work for it. But once you do find it, there is plenty of it to go around. And the same is true with sexuality as well. Think, where else have you invested a lot of time in your life? Like, how much movies have you been watching, or how much you've spent time on social media, or how much maybe you've studied in university 4 years some kind of a subject that you are not even interested in, but yet you did it anyway. Well, in my opinion, tantric sexuality is by far more rewarding than any bachelor degree or master's degree or PhD or any of those things. It is so giving, so profound, so important, and so generous in its gems and gold and diamonds that it will bring to every individual who is taking it seriously. It's incredible. So this is what I wanted to share, and I'm really hoping I managed to inspire you to look into real tantric sexuality and just start digging for gold, and you will reach there. And maybe I shouldn't even compare it to digging gold, because that process is very tiring and can be really difficult. But in tantric sexuality, you will start reaping rewards already from a very early on as well. So I know that there are at least some questions here available. I will, or presented to me. I will take some time for questions now. I want to say, but before going into questions, I wanted to say something more. In a few weeks from now, or a month from now, actually from 19 to 22nd, from 19 to 22nd of November, we are offering the Spiritual Tantra Sexuality course as an online training. And this is 4 days. And of course, because of the current circumstances of so many difficulties with travels and quarantines and God knows what, we decided that we'll do it as an online training. It's been requested so much. And rightfully so. The sexual motivation is a very strong motivation, and as I told you, I ended up in all of this through that motivation, and there is no regrets whatsoever. So you guys, you have a unique opportunity to receive all these pointers and this content and all the starting kit of tantric sexuality. You have the possibility to receive it now in November online from the comfort of your home, and you are ready to start practicing immediately. Right after the course, you have the tools and everything that you need in order to start your tantric journey, your sexual tantric journey. So it's very, very highly recommended. If you feel a pull towards this topic and you want to transform not only your life and your sexuality, but to transform your spirituality, to transform your health perhaps, then this teaching definitely has a potential to tick all the boxes for you. So this is coming up in a few weeks. Check it up on our website. I see Kadri was posting the links here as well, and you're very, very welcome to join. I will be one of the head teachers of that course, and Somananda will give some lectures, and there will be a team of us teaching you. All right, so let's see what questions have come in. And maybe I already covered some of the topics. Let's see, because some of the questions came already relatively early. So Sean is asking, does the 5G cell towers affect your energy? I can't even be 6 feet close to any stranger. 6 feet close to any... okay. This is meant for like Corona 6 feet. So 5G cell towers are absolutely affecting us. It is 5G energy itself, unfortunately, it's not properly researched yet, and deliberately so. But other earlier versions of the cell tower energies and so on, there are some researches and some presentations done. I even recently found an excellent presentation, like a 1-hour presentation by a scientist. It's available on YouTube. Maybe I'll look it up later. If I find it, I can post it in the Facebook group, where she is talking about the research which is available about cell phones and cell towers and all these things, and it looks very, very bad. The effect on the human body, which means also on human energy, is very damaging. And the upcoming, or not upcoming, already ongoing unfolding of 5G technology across the world is extremely alarming, and it is from the knowledge that we have so far, it is telling us that a lot of misery and disease is awaiting us, especially people who are staying in big cities where this technology will be massively available. So yes, it is affecting negatively. There are ways how you can a little bit counteract it by doing yoga, by becoming more yang in your diet, in your activity, in your lifestyle, and so on. So there are things what to do, but still it is very damaging. Did you know that it's even like, I'm using an iPhone, but I think it's the same in other phones as well, in Android phones and whatever other companies as well, that it's if you read the official user manual of an iPhone, for example, it is said there that you are not supposed to hold the phone on your body, that you are supposed to hold it a couple of centimeters away from the body. This is like officially written in the user manual, basically, you know, like the terms of service type of thing. And why is that? Why is that? Anyhow, I'll try to find this video and post it in the group later if I find it. Next question, Brenda. From Brenda, can a partner that has their heart energy closed experience this with the partner that is open to it? So I guess experience this, you are meaning maybe tantric lovemaking or orgasm, because it's not specified. I don't know when you were asking it exactly. So, first of all, in tantric sexuality, so I'll answer generally about tantric sexuality. So, first of all, in tantric sexuality, openness of the heart chakra is very important to be able to experience pleasure, or to experience orgasms, to experience connectedness and intimacy and union with your partner. And a person who is starting to cultivate sexual energy and starts on the tantric sexual path, then you are inevitably going to work on your heart chakra as well. This is not going to be excluded from it. So as you go in your practice, there's even a special yoga techniques sequence that we teach in the spiritual tantra sexuality course, which you can cultivate for that purpose, for enhancing your sexual experiences, your orgasmic potential, for your potential to harness the energy, your potential for sublimation of the energy, control of the energy, and so on and so forth. So a person who would do such yoga practice regularly will have results on the heart chakra as well, and then will have a certain opening, a bit more and more and more, and starts building up the ability to go more like into deeper experiences of tantric sexuality and orgasms as well. This question connects to a topic that I've written a blog about, which is called Frigidity. It's not what you think. It's on our blogs. Kadri, if you hear me, please post this link here in the chat as well. And in that blog, I'm talking elaborately what frigidity is from a tantric and the yogic perspective, and it is not actually what modern psychology often refers to, that it's something is wrong physically in your genitalia or something like that. It is purely connected to certain energy blockages that, if you know about them, then you can also do countermeasures through yoga and through tantric sexuality as well. So connecting to this topic. Brenda, another one here. I noticed it is easier to connect with people that are empathic, even just on a spiritual level, not in person. Is that because they are so much more in tune with people's emotions and thoughts? A person who is able to have more empathy is a person who has at least a certain openness of the heart chakra, because through empathy you are not able to feel it or connect with another person if your heart chakra is completely blocked. So it is natural that any of us, we feel drawn more to a person who has a more open heart chakra, because naturally that person we will perceive that person as more to be a kind person, a warm person, a welcoming person, a selfless person, and therefore naturally, even if your own heart is very closed, even if you are an egomaniac, then still naturally there is a pull towards that person, because all of us want to experience love and compassion and care and so on, and therefore it's easier to connect to a person like that. Yes. Marcus is asking, what would you advise from a tantric perspective if a person has uncomfortable feelings or shame towards this topic? So this topic, again, I'm assuming we are talking about sexual topic or sexuality as a whole. Yeah, unfortunately, feeling uncomfortably about it or shame about it is very, very common. First of all, I would recommend firstly to understand that a person who feels that by no means is alone in this. It's a very dominant issue out there. And the reasons for it are, of course, manifold. It can be a lot connected to the upbringing. It can a lot be connected to, what was the parents were broadcasting, either consciously or subconsciously to a person. It can be connected to even a simple thing of a child somehow discovering his or her own body and pleasuring him or herself, and then getting caught by the parent, and the parent was saying, oh, this is ugly, woo, you shouldn't do this is bad, da, da, da. And then a lot of like, woo, like a imprint of guilt was made at that moment just because of this one incident. Or it was because you had lovers or a partner or a lover back in the day who was kind of mocking you or saying some negative things and so on, and a subconscious connection was made that sexuality is connected to shame and so on. So the recommendation how to overcome it, I would say that the number one and perhaps most powerful way how to overcome it is by doing Tantra massage. Tantra massage is a body work which again is cultivating the energy. And therefore the energy does the cleaning, the purification, the removal of blockages by itself, because the energy has a certain intelligence to it. You can go and talk to psychologists and be visiting and have therapy and kind of try to logic it out, so to speak, and try to kind of find through this verbal interaction with the therapist, find out the reasons why this happened and what led to what, and and finally you have the chain reaction mapped out, perhaps the chain reaction of maybe several decades of your life. However, that doesn't often remove it. You maybe map it out, but it doesn't remove it. But what is very, very effective for such situations is definitely a more bodily approach, such as Tantra massage, for example, which includes yoni massage, lingam massage, where energy is cultivated in the right way, where respect is cultivated in the right way, and then the energy itself will start removing those blockages, because shame is nothing other than a certain energy blockage which will be located somewhere in your body, often related to the lower chakras. And then when we start doing Tantra massage and slowly awakening the energy through the different pressing of the energy points and certain movements that we teach and so on, and lingam yoni massage techniques, then energy starts like slowly like drilling through the blockage and eventually releasing this. So that is something I definitely would recommend as a powerful technique as well. Additionally, tantric sexuality itself, practicing and doing those practices of tantric sexuality and the preparations and the cultivation of energy, this brings the same results as well, and can be very, very helpful here as well with shame and such things. Moving on, Mari is asking how it's possible to start to awaken the interest in a man to start from zero. It's not easy to find a tantric man. Yes, that's a classical question as well. So how to, if a women sometimes tend to be more prone towards sexuality or tantric sexuality, and to go into that direction or to do courses and take trainings and so on, but either their partners are not so interested, or they just don't have a partner and they think like, what to do then, right? Well, oh my goodness, there is a person, man or a woman, who starts even by yourself, just cultivating sexual energy and learning about it and harnessing about it. Guess what? You will benefit from it from day one. That means a woman, let's take like in this example, like in Mari's question, if you are a woman who is learning about your sexual energy and you're doing practices and you are able to circulate this energy in your body after some time of practice and so on, you are able to sublime, you're becoming more orgasmic and your sexual potential becomes so much bigger, then that is gonna change a lot about you. It's gonna change you energetically foremost, and therefore it will also change your resonance. You will be attracting a different quality man into your life by the law of resonance. So you may easily end up in a situation where you've been doing maybe a couple of weeks only, and there are many cases that I have personally witnessed, where you have just a couple of weeks been practicing with the tantric sexuality tools and doing this and that exercise and this and that yoga and so on, and then all of a sudden you meet a man who maybe he's not tantric yet, maybe he doesn't know anything about tantra, but he's open. He's open to learn, he's open to study, he's open to walk this path together with you, and that is a blessing. This is major, this is amazing, this is beautiful. And there you go, just a couple of weeks of practicing yourself, already you had a great gift given to you by the universe. So this is definitely inspiring, has been inspiring a lot of women out there. And as I said, I have personally witnessed it so many times that a woman or a man who starts seriously in this topic is then able to attract a different partner all of a sudden as well. So that would be my recommendation. Next question from Oliver. How long time does it take to learn to cultivate the energy after a Tantra course? So I earlier mentioned it briefly. There can be, it's different. It depends on a person to person, of course. It depends on your current energy structure and where you are at as a man or a woman. For a woman, if they are having the blessing to make love to a tantric man or a man who is relatively skilled in that direction already, then a woman can experience tantric orgasms very fast even. But this does not mean that her evolution has finished and there's nothing for her to do. No, she needs to do her own duty, so to speak, and her own exercises still. For the man in the beginning, so for women the start can be faster, but then she has more to do afterwards, and it will become more clear in the course. But for the men, the start may be a little bit longer, but then once they reach a certain level, then they progress relatively fast afterwards. But as Soma and Dharma have been saying, it takes about 3 to 6 months for a man to reach a certain first level in their ability of control, and then from there on you start like adding layers of bricks, so to speak. Like you start building and building, and the tower gets higher and higher, and the skill gets better and better. So that is the answer there. Another, I guess, a follow-up question. Do you need a wife or a partner to take a course, or could you also join on your own? Oh yes, you can join on your own. The Tantric Sexuality course is not just for couples, it is for singles and for couples. And there is a lot a man and a woman can do separately on your own. And then this connects to the previous answer. I was saying that once you start working on it on your own, you are much more likely, I'm not promising here, but you are much more likely to attract a high quality partner into your life as well, or partners, depending on your preference. Richard is asking, how much does age affect someone starting Tantra in partial lockdown whose wife died last year? First of all, I'm sorry to hear about your loss. And age is not really a factor. Because as long as you are still alive, you have sexual energy. Even a person who is in a very mature age, then still you have sexual energy. It might be maybe a very, in a latent state, or maybe not very active, or maybe not simply active because you haven't had a partner or so on. But otherwise, age is really not a factor. Benefits are there for any age, man or a woman, absolutely. We've had in the courses, we had a father who brought his 16-year-old son to the sexuality course. That was a couple of years ago. And we've had, I guess, the oldest person that I have personally had in one of the courses of mine was 75 or something like that. And that person was very, very glad and happy. And a bit sorry that he didn't learn it earlier, but nevertheless, still very, very happy. So Victoria is asking, from the tantric perspective, why is there so much confusion in the roles men and women hold in society? Whoa, you're touching on a profound topic. For instance, people who use energies to emasculate others, just like we witness in positions of power to dominate others instead of empowering. Is this a lack of awareness and control of this creative sexual power? Well, first of all, you are touching upon a very big topic, and I will need to keep my answer short because it's indeed a very big topic. First of all, yes, there is a major confusion about what masculinity and femininity is and how they work together. And the very popular approach in modern day is that what we are experiencing is a very masculine world, which the female energy or the femininity has been suppressed, and therefore women need to come together and we need to have a feminist movement and so on, and then we need to press the men down so that we, the women, could be uplifted and empowered and so on. And this is so far from actually how yoga and tantra looks upon the situation. In fact, we have a lack of masculine energy. But here you need to first understand what masculine energy is. We are talking about consciousness, an ability to control energy, an ability to stay centered, to stay focused, to be powerful, to be centered. And we have such a massive lack of that on the planet in modern day. And a lot of the maladies of the modern day, a lot of the chaos of the modern day, a lot of the craziness of the modern day is actually caused because the Shakti is out of control. The energy is out of control and it doesn't have a center, a pillar where to whirl around, and it doesn't have a purpose. And the purpose is always brought by the Shiva consciousness, by the masculine energy. And both men and women of modern day are very much in the Shakti direction and having a lot of chaos going on in their heads, in their lives, in their environments. And that's what we are witnessing. And yes, not cultivating the sexual energy is definitely adding to the confusion here. So Pierre is asking, what chakras open the masculine energy and what chakras open the feminine energy? Well, all of the chakras. This is much more complex. There is no one chakra which is connected to femininity and no one chakra which is connected to masculinity. Femininity and masculinity are very multifaceted aspects, and true femininity from tantric perspective actually means that a woman is able to have access to all of the chakras, and not only that, also to have aspects of all of the yin and yang energies. And it is similar for the men as well. And in Tantra, in the Ultimate Tantric Woman course, we are actually teaching for women how to be able to access femininity and these energies at the level of the different chakras from a woman's perspective, and the men are learning that from the man's perspective. There is masculinity and femininity on Muladhara, masculinity, femininity on Svadhisthana, on Manipura chakra, on heart chakra, on Vishuddha, and so on. And it's very, very multifaceted. It's so multifaceted that it's just genius how the system is made. It's profound, it's deep. That's why from tantric perspective, actually being born as a man or a woman is considered either way a blessing. It's kind of like, I am born in a feminine body. I was given the tools that the feminine structure has for reaching my highest potential all the way to the crown chakra. And I will succeed in reaching there in most efficient way if I will be utilizing my feminine attributes. I don't just mean physically, I mean energetically, emotionally, everything. And the man, a person born in a man's body, has the attributes and the structure of the man, and using those tools he can reach to his highest potential in the most efficient way. And the last question that I have here is from Marissa. I imagine one day as your resonance shifts and becomes stable in tantric practices, higher consciousness it will draw tantric men into one's life. Yes? Okay, so the question was a little bit confusing, but the answer is yes. A person who is becoming more in charge of the energy, more harmonious, more balanced between her own yin and yang, is more able to cultivate and control her sexual energy, is able to sublime and so on, then absolutely yes, you will see things shifting in your life and you attracting a partner who fits with you at that moment. There is this, a new age cliche that, opposites attract. Actually, this is not true. Similarities attract. So look around in the relationships that you are having. That's what you are attracting right now. If you don't like what you are attracting right now, then you need to change you. You don't need to change your man or your woman or tell him or her, oh, you need to be better, you need to be like that, you need to be, oh, why do you do da 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 da? No, this is what you deserve right now. This is who you are right now. And therefore start working on yourself, change your energetic structure, change who you are, and then your environment will correspond, your relationships will correspond, and your partnership will correspond as well. So this is it, guys, for today. I don't see any further questions coming in at this moment. I wanted to give you also a couple of recommendations of books if you want to read something already now on the topic. Then first of all, I'm recommending Soma's book, Tantra, Sex for the Soul. I have a copy in another room right now, but I saw Kadri posting a link here already, so she can do it again if necessary. So Soma's book, Tantra, Sex for the Soul, is focusing especially on the sexual aspect of tantric teachings, and this would be a great introduction into sexual tantra, so it's very highly recommended. It's available on Amazon.com and Amazon UK as well. You can simply order it and have it in a couple of days. Here, additionally, what I wanted to recommend from Taoism, there are a few really good books by Mantak Chia as well. Taoism and sexual tantra, they have many things similar, although some things are profoundly different as well. However, there are various practices that are beneficial and understandings that overlap a lot, and these are books I can highly recommend because they are really, it's good. They are the real deal in many ways. There is so much low-grade tantra blah 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 out there, which I do not recommend to look. Like if you just go to Amazon and want to read something about tantra, difficult. Soma's book is almost the only one I can just with good conscience recommend. And others are this book here, for example, this one, Healing Love Through the Tao, Cultivating Female Sexual Energy. This is a very good book to start with, so it's Mantak Chia here. And then another one here is the Taoist Secrets of Love, Cultivating Male Sexual Energy, so also from Mantak Chia. So these are really good ABC content to start with, and they will help also a lot, like if you decide to do the Spiritual Tantra Sexuality course in a few weeks from now, and if you come having read Soma's book and maybe having read these ones as well, you will be very well prepared as well. If you don't have a time to read anything before the course, no worries. The course itself will give you all the needed information and details as well, and you can read them afterwards. So these are the books I wanted to read. I wanted to recommend, and that's it. I'll leave it like that. Yes. So this brings us to the conclusion of today's talk. I really hope I could inspire and plant a seed of excitement into all of you here, and that you are curious, even more curious about sexual tantra, because that's the way. That is the way for happiness, that is the way for long-lasting, beautiful relationships, that is the way for health, rejuvenation, and that is a way to God. Thank you all very, very much for being here today. The spiritual Tantra Sexuality course is available for booking on our website now. I hope I will see all of you there in a few weeks from now, where we're gonna go deep into topics of orgasms, different types of orgasms that are available to reach, how to have multiple orgasms, how to bring the energy to the higher chakras to have spiritual divine experiences, and how to become a truly tantric man or a woman. Thank you all very, very much for spending this time with me here. Take care and see you soon. Bye bye.